Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and I wanted to kind of do a long-term or a few week to a month review of the Nexus 6. The Nexus 6 is really a great phone, but it might be a little bit too large for some people. You can see it's pretty large, but in my hands it may not look so big. So let me bring in the Moto X, the 2014 Moto X, to give you an idea of just how big it really is. So you can see it's got a very large screen on it, and it's a really nice screen. It's 5.9 inches, and it's an AMOLED screen, which is really nice. I find the display to be much nicer on this than I did on the Moto X. I'm not sure what the difference is, but the display is much cleaner on this particular device. So if I turn it on, you can see it's got a really clean look, and you won't be able to see all the pixels because this video is in 1080p, but the screen's actually in a higher resolution than this camera's picking it up at. It's got a really nice 1440 by 2560 resolution with 493 pixels per inch. So really have no issues with the display at all. I find it to be really nice. It's really bright. And one thing I love about Android that I think I'll mention since we're on the lock screen is this ability to act on your notifications here. So if I pull this down here, you can see I've got some notifications, I've got some emails. If I have something I can act on here, I can do it from the home screen or the lock screen, swipe it away if I don't need it. Much better than iOS in that particular sense, I think. So if we swipe that out of the way, let's unlock the device. This one actually runs Android Lollipop, so Android 5.0, or this one's actually running a little bit newer version than that even. Let's go into the settings. And I thought I'd just share about the device a little bit. You can see it's 5.0.1, so it's got the latest update on it. And the great thing about this device is this is actually the AT&T branded device. You can see it's the blue color, and there's the AT&T logo. However, this is unlocked, and because it's unlocked, you can put in any carrier, and that includes CDMA, Verizon, and Sprint carriers. So you can see here, Verizon Wireless is actually the carrier on this phone. It's got a Verizon SIM card, makes calls, surfs data, or uses data. It works great, and I've used it for quite some time that way, and it really works well. So that's a nice thing, and they haven't released it at the time of this video. They actually haven't released the Verizon version, so it's nice to be able to use whatever you want. Now, this particular device has a very fast processor in it, as I'm sure you know. It's got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 2.7 gigahertz quad-core with an Adreno 420 GPU, and that means it pretty much never lags. I've never had a problem with it lagging. It's super fast, it's super responsive, and everything just works beautifully. It works as you'd expect, and that's pretty much that. This particular version has 32 gigs of internal storage with 3 gigabytes of RAM, and it really has no issues. I really haven't had any issues as far as speed or usability. Everything's super fast, and I can't complain in that department. I have had a couple bad issues with it though, and one of those, the first one, was battery. Now, I started off using this on AT&T, and with AT&T, I found I'd have to charge it around 2 in the afternoon. I got horrible battery life, and I actually had pretty decent signal. The strange thing is when I switched to Verizon, I actually easily get a day out of it. So I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe there's more towers near me. But in this case, this phone gets tremendous battery life on Verizon. I'm not sure why AT&T phones don't in this area. So it must be towers and congestion and those sort of things. So it makes a big, big difference on this device. So Sprint and T-Mobile, depending on your area, those can all make a very big difference. The camera on this phone is actually really nice. It's a 13 megapixel camera. It shoots really fast. Let me throw a different phone here. Let me just take the Moto X here, throw it behind here, focus, snap a picture. And depending on the mode you have, if you have it set to HDR, it's going to make a difference. But the photos are really nice. It focuses quick. Here's some other photos I took. And what I did is I focused here. On this one, I focused back there. So it really is a pretty fast focusing phone. The photos look really good in compared to, say, an iPhone 5, or I mean a 6 Plus rather. I really find that these photos It's really hard to tell the difference between the two, but I have to say, in comparison tests I've seen, when it's a blind comparison test, I really think the Nexus takes the better picture. However, the iPhone takes the more consistent picture. There's a lot of other little things I could go into about Lollipop and that sort of thing, but really I want to tell you the quick good things and then the bad things. The bad things, this one's pretty simple, but you can see if you're texting and you text while the thing's on a table like this, it's not flat, so it bounces. So when you're tapping on it, it's going to bounce. That's the same for the Moto X 2014 as well. But if you had a case on it, you may want to consider one that flattens this out a bit, but that will make it thicker. Speaking of size and thickness, the phone is very large and very slippery without a case. It's a really nice looking phone. It's built solid. This is all metal on the side, plastic on the back. It's built solid, but it's very slippery, I think, and definitely needs a case. But it's a really nice phone. But when you add that case, it gets really large, and it is a very, very large device. But it's a beautiful device. This phone has one really annoying problem that I've run into, and that is random reboots. Now, I know others have had this issue, and I've seen this on forums, and I looked at that, and people have said to wipe the device, and that should fix the problem. However, I don't feel you should really have to do that. I've updated it after that, and I know that I can wipe it later, and that'll fix the problem most likely. But I'm talking a lot of random reboots. In an 8-hour workday, probably 2 to 3 on every single day, Monday through Friday, using it every day. It would reboot at least twice and oftentimes 3 times before I got home. I tried different things. I thought maybe it was some apps I installed, maybe it was some widgets. So I deleted all that, went back to how I normally have it, and I still ran into the same thing. So I'm not really sure what that's all about, but unfortunately, it does randomly reboot at times. So hopefully that'll be fixed in a future update. And once I wipe this and start over, hopefully it won't do that again. Other than those couple things I mentioned, I have to say this is a great phone if you can handle the size of it. It's really large, and if it's too big, you may want to consider the Moto X, the 2014 Moto X, if you're looking for Android. Compared to an iPhone 6 Plus, it's about the same size. It's actually just a little bit wider, same as the Note 4. It's also a little bit wider than the Note 4. I actually have a Note 3 sitting right here, so I'll show you that real quick, just to give you a size comparison. But here's the Note. Let me set this down, face down. There's actually a screen protector on the front. But here's the Note 3, and this will give you an idea of how big it is. So it overlaps the Note 3 a little bit in size, maybe a 1/2 inch on the top and a 1/4 inch on the sides. So it's pretty wide. It's not very thick, but pretty wide and tall. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've been using a Nexus or considering one, hopefully this helps you get a better idea of what it might be to use day to day. Maybe it answers some questions about the camera and speed and things like that. Battery I've found isn't too bad. Oh, and a full charge I wanted to show you actually took, I believe, 2 hours. I fully charged it, I drained it, and then fully charged it with the turbocharger. Took right around 2 hours to complete that. So not too bad, considering that it's got a pretty large battery in the back of it. It lasted most of the day, no problem, and then could charge in a couple hours. And you do get a good amount of charge in just 15 minutes. But either way, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and comment. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.